Hey guys, here is the second review guide for the quarter one exam, 22B. All right, we're going to start with number one. Translate 6 less than 4 times a number is 18. So if we do 4 times a number, let's let n be the number. And if we want to write this, we can say 6 less than 4 times a number. So 4 times a number would be 4n. 6 less than, there's the key word than, it says to put 6 after. Is means it's going to be equal to 18. So there's our answer for number one. Okay, number two, simplify the following. 3x minus 3x squared when x is equal to negative 2. So all I'm going to do is replace x with negative 2, and then I'm going to follow my order of operations. Okay, I'm going to be careful if I'm using my calculator. Any negative when I square it is going to be positive. So we're going to do our exponent first. So 3 times negative 2 minus 3 times 4. Now I'm going to do my multiplication. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, and I'm going to do my multiplication here, so it's negative 6 minus 12. Now I'm going to subtract. Negative 6 minus 12 is equal to negative 18. There's my answer for number two. Okay, I'm going to evaluate the expression, and I look at this and I notice, oh, it's to the 0 power. I should immediately recognize the fact that anything to the 0 power is equal to 1. So this means this is 30 minus 1, which is 29. Okay, if I look at number four, which property justifies step number 2? So going from number 1 to number 2, if I look at that, what did I do? What property? I actually took the 3 and I multiplied it by the x, 3 times negative 12. So I actually did the distributive property, which would be J. Okay, the next one, it says to solve 72. So if it's 72 is equal to 10x plus 2, and I'm going to start by subtracting 2 from both sides. It should be pretty easy. 70 is equal to 10x, and then I'm going to divide both sides by 10. When I do that, I'm left with x is equal to 7. All right. Number 6, which property is illustrated by if x equals 3 plus 4 and 3 plus 4 equals 7, then x is equal to 7. So we have an if, we have an and then we have an then. Okay, that would be the transitive property. That would be J. Number 7 says to simplify, so I'm not solving because it's not an equation. So I'm going to start by distributing 3x plus 2x minus 10. And now I combine my like terms. 3x and 2x is 5x. 5x minus 10 would be my answer. Okay, so this would be J. This would be 5x minus 10. All right, looking at number 8, what is the value of x in the following equation? All this is doing is asking you to solve for x. Now, if you notice, I'm going to rewrite the problem down here. I've got 5/3 x minus 2 is equal to x plus 6. Okay, so I rewrote the problem. I'm going to start by actually multiplying both sides by 3 to get rid of this fraction. And I'm going to be careful because I want to distribute it. Okay, it has to be both sides of the equation. That means every term. 3 times 5/3 is 15/3, which is 5x. So we're left with 5x. And 3 times negative 2 is minus 6. Negative 6 equals 3 times x is 3x plus 18. Okay, now I'm just going to subtract 3x from both sides. And when I do that, I get 2x minus 6 is equal to 18. And then I'm going to add 6 to both sides. When I do that, I get 2x is equal to 24. And then I divide by 2. X is going to be equal to 12. So my answer for number 8 should be, if I'm looking at my answers, x is equal to 12. So it's going to be F. All right, so if you notice, this is just set notation, x such that x is equal to 12. All right, if I look at number 9, number 9 says to solve. So again, I'm just going to subtract x from both sides. I've got 4x. Okay, plus 2 is equal to 7. And then I'm going to subtract my 2 from both sides. I'm going to run out of space here, but 4x is going to be equal to 5. And then I divide both sides by 4. Don't be afraid of a fraction answer. Just make sure it's simplified. In this case, it already is, 5/4. And it's okay to leave it as an improper fraction. All right, number 10, we're solving. And I see this is set up for cross products. So I'm going to start out and say 5 times x plus 2 is going to be equal to 3 times x. All right, so I write this as 5x plus 10 is equal to 3x. All right, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. When I do that, I get 2x plus 10 is equal to 0, because that goes to 0. Then I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. I get 2x is equal to negative 10. Then I divide by 2. X is equal to negative 5. So number 10 is negative 5. All right, this one was 5/4. Okay, number 11, solving. So I'm going to think DC ma'am. I'm going to distribute first. I've got 2x minus 8, okay, plus 8 is equal to 3x minus 8. All right, I'm going to combine like terms on either side of my equation. In this case, negative 8 plus 8 will cancel out, and I'm left with 2x is equal to 3x minus 8. Okay, I'm going to subtract my 3x from both sides. Okay, when I do that, I subtract 3x, and I'm left with a negative x is equal to a negative 8, so that when I divide by negative 1, I'm left with x is equal to 8. So number 11, the answer is 8. Number 12, we've got a word problem. The perimeter of a rectangular garden is 690 feet. The two long sides of the garden are each 270 feet long. So anytime I have a perimeter problem or a rectangle, I like to draw a picture. So I'm going to draw a picture of a rectangle. This is my garden. The two long sides of the garden are 270 feet long. So this is 270 and this is 270 feet. Okay, you are asked to find the length of the other sides. Which equation models this situation? So we need to know the width, which is here, and the width is here. Okay, well, we want to find the perimeter. How the perimeter works is you add up all of the sides and you get the perimeter. So here's also a formula. Its perimeter is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So we can actually set this up as 2 times the length, which is 2 times 270, plus 2 times our width, 2w, and that's going to equal 690. So we don't even have to solve this problem. It's asking for the equation that models it. In this case, it would be h. All right, looking at number 13, we want to solve and graph. So we have an inequality. We're going to start out and distribute. I'll do it up here. 5x minus 4 is greater than or equal to 3x plus 9. Now I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So when I do that, I get 2x minus 4 is greater than or equal to 9. Now I'm going to add 4 to both sides. When I do that, I've got 2x is greater than 13. So when I divide by 2, x is actually going to be greater than 6.5. Okay, it's actually, oops, made a mistake. I forgot it's greater than equal to, very important. X is greater than or equal to 6.5. So if I look at my options, I know it's going to be a colored in circle because it's greater than or equal to. So I know it can't be F and I know it can't be H. And it's greater than 6.5, so actually it's going to go to the right where the larger numbers are. So my answer would be J. All right, moving on to number 14. Number 14 says, Dance Academy charges $24 per class and a one-time registration fee of $15. A student paid a total of $687 to the academy. How many classes did the student take? Write an equation and solve. Okay, so if I want to write my equation, my let statement is what I like to start with. So I'm going to let C be my classes because I'm not sure what they are. That's my unknown. But I do know the Dance Academy charges $24 per class. So that's $24 times the number of classes. And then there's that one-time registration fee of $15. And we're going to spend a total of $687. So there's our equation. Now we just need to solve. So I'm going to subtract the 15 from both sides. Okay, so 24C is going to be equal to 672. And then I just divide by 24. When I do that, I find out my C is equal to 28. So that would be 28 classes, which would be A. Number 15, which is equivalent to the equation y equals 3x plus c divided by 4. Well, if you look at your options, it looks like we're solving for x. So I'm going to take this equation and just solve for x. Y is equal to 3x plus c divided by 4. Okay, this is a literal equation. To solve for x, I'm going to start by getting rid of my fraction, and I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. Okay, when I do that, these cancel out. I'm left with 4y is equal to 3x. Oops, 3x, not 3z. Come on. Okay, so this is going to be 3x plus z. All right, I'm solving for x, so I need to subtract z from both sides first. Okay, when I do that, I've got 4y minus z is equal to 3x. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Okay, so x is going to be equal to 4y minus z divided by 3. When I look at that, 4y minus c divided by 3, it looks like the answer is C. Okay, so that's number 15. Number 16 is, let's see, Lisa correctly solved a linear equation, and the final step of her work was 1 equals 2. Which statement best describes the solutions to the equation Lisa was solving? Well, 1 equals 2. Is that a true or false statement? That's false. Okay, that is not true. So that means that the equation has no solutions. Anytime you have a false statement without any variables, there's no solutions. If it was true, then you would have infinitely many solutions. All right, number 17. Given the relation in the graph below, state the domain. All right, domain and range. Remember, I know some of you forget, my silly Dr. XY. Domain is your x values. So I'm just going to look at my x values. Here's my x-axis, and the domain would just be the set of all my x values. So starting from left to right, I've got this point is going to be at a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, negative 3. Then this is going to be, right there is negative 3. So I've got a negative 3. I've got a 0, because it goes up. This is 0, and then I've got a 2, and then I've got a 5. So my answer would be J. All right, looking at number 18, we're going to evaluate each expression, and we're going to plug in values. So we've got x, y, and z. This would be 2 times x squared would be 2 times negative 1 squared minus 3 times my z, which would be negative 5. Okay, so I'm going to then evaluate by doing order of operations. This would be 2 times 1 minus 3 times 5, negative 5 rather. So we've got 2 plus the 15, so we'd have 17. So 18, the answer should be 17. Okay, and then number 19, this is a little tricky, but if you see where it says negative z, if z is negative 5, a negative 5 would actually be positive 5. So that would be 5 plus 5 times x, negative 1, and y is 3. Okay, so this would be 5 plus 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. So 5 plus a negative 15 is going to give me a negative 10. All right, moving on. Word problem. The sum of 3 odd consecutive numbers is 57. What is the third number? All right, well, we're going to start with the first number. Do we know what it is? No. Let's let f be equal to the first number. Now, if f is the first number, the second number, because they're odd, think of numbers 3, 5, and 7. They're all odd, and they're consecutive. In order to get from 3 to 5, I actually have to add 2. So that's going to be the second number because we're adding 2. We're looking for the odd consecutive numbers. All right, if I want to get to the third one, I would actually add 4. All right, so as soon as we have expressions that represent those 3 numbers, we're going to take the sum of them. The sum would be the first, which is f, plus the second, plus the third, and that would be equal to 57. Okay, I'm going to combine my like terms. 3f plus 6 is 57. Subtract 6 from both sides. 3f is equal to 51. So when I divide by 3, my first number is 17. Now that's not what it's asking. It's asking for the third. So I actually have to add 4, and I get 21. All right, so my answer, my final answer would be 21. Okay, moving on, 21. All right, Susie wants to have at least a 90 average for the year in her algebra class. I'm actually going to have to stop this right now because the recording's coming up on 15 minutes. So I'm going to make one mini recording for the last 2 questions. Okay, so look for part 2 for questions number 21 and 22.